Welcome back. If you're familiar with deer rubs, then you understand the unique ways in which deer communicate with each other, particularly during mating season. If you're not familiar, then Winston Reed and Dr. John Long will give you the signs to know that how deer mark its territory. Here's this week's Next to Nature. Easy for me to say.
All right, you may be wondering why Dr. Long has a deer antler in his hand. He's going to explain something called a deer rub. I'm Winston Reed, this is Dr. John Long, and this is Next to Nature. All right, Dr. Long, explain what a deer rub is.
So, Winston, when a deer grows its antler, it will be covered in a thing called velvet. And that once this antler matures, that velvet has to come off. So what a male deer called a buck will do is he'll come up to a tree like this, and he'll take his antler and he'll rub it on that, and he'll rub it like this, trying to get that velvet off. Well, after it gets that velvet off, and about sometime in November, December, they'll start, bucks will come back, and they'll start making rubs like this. There's another one right over there as well. But they're marking their territory, basically. And they're telling other deer, hey, I'm in this area. And it also is for female deer to see that there's another buck in the area as well. Okay. So it's just kind of an indication of communication of saying, hey, here I am. Kind of basically.
So these markings on the tree, these scrape markings, really explains or tells you that a buck or a deer is in the area.
That's right.
And that's something that not only other deer will notice, but a hunter as well.
That's right, and that hunters look for signs like this. Again, it's just like another deer. That's an indication that there's a deer in the area. So you can look for that if you're hunting a deer for sure.
All right, now you said that deer also mark their territory on the ground. Can you explain that?
They do. They make what's called a scrape. They do that with their feet. Okay. And what they'll do is,
go ahead, show us.
I'll just give a demonstration, but they'll take their paw of their feet and scrape out an area, and that's called a scrape. And you'll see this about the same time you see these coming about in November, December. And what that deer does is it'll scrape that out, and then it'll urinate in that spot. And that is a indication to other deer, again, that there's a deer in the area. Bucks do this to attract does. Does will come through and they'll smell that a deer has been here. Then the doe can do the same thing. She'll urinate in that spot, and a buck can smell it, and it'll bring him in too. So
okay,
it's a mating thing.
Okay, it's a mating procedure.
Right.
Okay, there you
exactly.
go.
Exactly.
And you said they also urinate on the ground as well.
They do. They'll urinate in this spot here in this open area, and they'll make several sometimes in a line. And what happens is that depending on wind direction, that odor or that smell will be pushed down into an area, and a deer can pick that smell up and come right down the line where these scrapes are.
All right, well, there you go. Dr. Long, thank you so much for explaining deer rubs to us. This is Next to Nature. We'll see you next time.